the Penn State game is going to be really fun. Like I was saying earlier, I'm slowly but surely migrating from anxious, nervous, unsure to excited that I don't really know what to expect. And you know what? I was getting a good amount of pushback the other day when I said best case scenario for this Oregon team's 11-1. Plenty of people feel like best case scenario is 12-0. I would love nothing more than to be wrong about that. And maybe they'll lose the Penn State game by a field goal, go 11-1, and I'll have to come on the show, look back, and go, "Hey, I was wrong. Like they could have won that Penn State game. They had a better chance than I thought they were going to have." I would love for that to be the case. Absolutely love it. So there are a lot of questions that you can ask about the Penn State game. I've talked about them a good amount here during the offseason with my guy Zach Sako of Locked On Nittany Lions. This question came in, and you can submit questions, takes for Spencer's Scale of Agreement, and all of that stuff with YouTube comments, Twitter. Become a Locked On Ducks Insider, link in the description below. Hallow Throttle sends this one in. SSOA statement. First of all, when doing acronyms, unless you really need it for it to be a clean acronym, you don't use prepositions. So it's just SSA. But I like where your head's at. SSA statement. This year's Penn State at Oregon game is last year's Ohio State at Oregon game. That said, Spencer rules. Okay, I'm not ruling on that particular part because obvious reasons. I'll let you guys determine that one. But I think for a lot of you, it would be Spencer rules usually, like a solid 7 out of 10 times. Like he's right there. And then those 3 out of the 10, I'm going, oh man. Anyway, so in some respect, yes, that it's Oregon's biggest and clearly toughest game of the year. On paper last year, going into the season, you knew, after Idaho, of course, you knew that Ohio State was going to be Oregon's toughest game. Like last year, I don't know if I did a preseason rank of Oregon's most difficult games. That'd be a good topic to do here in the coming weeks. Anyway, I'll stash that on the back burner. But Ohio State would have been number one. I think Michigan would have been up there. I think Wisconsin would have been up there as well. Ducks had a pretty favorable schedule a season ago. Illinois, I don't think on paper going into last year was someone you would have looked at and said, boy, that could be a tough game for the Ducks. Boise State, of course, you would have put up there because it's Boise. It's always close. But that's the fun part about the season is, people like me, as I talk about over on Locked On College Football all the time, can discuss and assess, hey, here's where this team was at, who they brought in, and where that sets our expectations. It's prediction season over on Locked On College Football, and I love prediction season because that, chef's kiss, it's very, very fun. So I think that for Oregon, it's clearly the toughest game. I do wonder if College Gameday goes there. And I had when I was getting ready for the show, and I had this question in there. I'm scrolling down to look at the other games in college football that week to see what else could be a College Gameday candidate. Because Oregon at Penn State, Big Ten championship rematch, both teams should be undefeated and ranked inside the top 10. Yeah, that's got 2 playoff teams from a year ago. That's got College Gameday written all over it. It's a primetime game, 7:30 Eastern. I think that's prime. Yeah, prime-ish. Like, it's on NBC. It's the whiteout. It's the whiteout, for goodness sake. That is a legitimate contender, man. There is as good a chance it could go there as any. So I'm going through the games and trying to figure out, well, could they get Gameday? And I'm trying to find one that matches up. And I see, this is a sleeper one, so just keep this in mind because they haven't been there before. USC at Illinois. I'm just don't be shocked if that one I don't think it will because of the game I'll tell you about in a little bit. But I was scrolling down the docket, looking at that, went, it's kind of fun. Like Champaign can get popping. I respect the Illini. And I like Illinois this year. Illinois is my preseason number 4 team in the Big Ten in my Locked On College Football rankings. But LSU at Ole Miss is a contender. And then I don't know how many of you are Shane Gillis fans out there. I I am a fan of his comedy, but I did just kind of instinctually when I got down to the bottom of the docket, I just went, oh, because Alabama is at Georgia on September 27th. I mean, there's no wrong answer there. You know, like, do I want game day to be in Happy Valley? Of course I do. And you know what? The whiteout could very easily set the games apart as the determining factor for whether college game day goes there. Because I mean, the amount of marketing publicity Penn State gets on the whiteout game before, during, and after is well deserved and very well established at this point in the media landscape. So the thing about the Alabama-Georgia game, Alabama will have played Florida State, UL Monroe, and Wisconsin. They should win all three of those games. Georgia could have a loss. Probably not. Georgia's probably 3-0. These are also probably top 10 teams. And now you're just Big Ten versus SEC. Who does ESPN have the contract with? The SEC. That's going to be difficult to beat. Like, maybe Georgia stumbles at Tennessee and takes the shine off the game a little bit. I doubt it, though, because Tennessee, of course, doesn't have Nico. He's at UCLA. But I think this Oregon at Penn State game has certainly got the makings of being as tight as last year. I mean, I think Oregon was a slight dog or slight favorite. It was a sub 3-point spread. I think it might have been a sub 2-point spread last year when they squared off at Autzen Stadium with Ohio State. This game is Oregon plus 4.5 going to Penn State, which I think is the appropriate betting line. Not that that's a huge determining factor for networks or ESPN of, oh, are we going to have college game day there? Well, what's the point spread? Like, they're looking at a lot of different things, but if you've got everybody unbeaten there, I would guess they go Alabama at Georgia, but I mean, it's certainly possible. It's no more if there's a lean towards where they should go. If it's Alabama, Georgia, it's no more than like 55-45. And it's just the SEC factor. And Georgia's going to have a great crowd, and it'll be a great game. And their fans are awesome. They also consider, college game day does, they don't go to the same place twice. The same team could be featured twice, but I don't think they've ever gone, or they at least really try to avoid going to the same destination twice. So if Georgia has another game on their schedule that they would want to have in Athens, then that's one, like Georgia against Texas, for instance. Maybe they would rather do that for game day, and it could go there. So in that regard, I don't think I'm hopeful, but not expecting it to be like the Ohio State game. But the place where you are absolutely correct with your remark, and where I put this at, let's call this a 9. This is a 9 on Spencer's scale of agreement, which for my people who've heard a lot of these takes, no, that's a very, very high score. This is a 9. If Oregon goes and wins this game, they will not just be catapulted nationally into the national championship picture, even more than they already were, but in my eyes, this would be a perception-shifting win. And frankly, even more impactful, because last year, it was a weird game. Ohio State got 7 points they shouldn't have with the, interception that wasn't. And then Oregon kicked the ball off an up man and got 3 points out of it. And maybe they would have gotten 7 if Trayshawn Holden hadn't had the personal foul incident. Like, it was a weird, kind of funky game, and Oregon just found a way to win. If they go on the road and beat Penn State, a game I've said all offseason, I don't think it's impossible Oregon wins the game. Certainly not. I'm not expecting them to win the game. They should be underdogs. They are underdogs, and they will be going into that game. I don't think anything in the first few weeks of the season is going to change that, frankly, for either team. If Oregon goes and wins that game, I'm going to be the happiest eater of crow of all time right here on this show. Because I'll say, you know what? I underestimated them a little bit. I didn't think they'd go and win. I thought Penn State does have every advantage you could basically want going into a game like this. But they're at home. They're off a bye. More experienced quarterback. Higher returning production rate from a season ago. Like, they've got all the advantages in there. But if Oregon goes and wins that game, my hope will shift into de facto expectations. I hope Oregon makes a run to the national championship game this year. Last year, I had an expectation that they were going to make a run to the national championship game. There's a difference between those two things. So in that sense, it is the same. And that's why that's a 9 on Spencer's scale of agreement.